Hello everybody, Germany's Coasty Yard here, back with another episode of Germanator Gardens. And in the last episode, we upgraded some of our roadways, and we also renovated the Garden Flyer roller coaster here. So the first half stayed mostly the same. We did some reprofiling of these drops, but the biggest thing that changed was redoing the second half of the ride. I like that we were able to get some more length in here, have it wrap around itself a couple times, and just do more with the footprint. And you may remember we also cleared out this entire area, and in addition, changing the layout also kind of wrapped around this midway. Now I've been thinking about what I want to do next in the park, and I know in this area, I'm thinking I'm leaning towards a Western theme, and maybe altering this section of the log flume to better fit the Western aesthetic without feeling kind of unpiratey, sort of something that could fit in the middle section of that Venn diagram. But that, I don't know if we're going to start on that today, but what I want to do is work on this behind the scenes area. Now that we have this space cleared out, and this is quite a lot of space, as you can kind of see based on these buses here. And I think the first thing we can do is just get rid of these buses and kind of open up a little lane in here. Open up an area where traffic can get back into there. So the first thing we're going to do is get rid of that scenery along there, and then because this is going to be asphalt, I'm just going to replace the pathway with an asphalt pathway, and we can even paint under there really quick. But I'm going to use the same technique for this area as the last one. I believe we'll figure that out in a little bit, but I think I'm going to do the technique that I used for the roadways, where I place a terrain tile to get a sharp edge. I think that's how I'm going to do it, because I don't really plan on having concrete walkways. But to start, let's just come along here with this pavement, and let's just kind of establish a perimeter road. So I definitely want to have a road that wraps around the park for infrastructure and things like that, and kind of behind the scenes. One thing we can do for now, just to help better establish that boundary visually while we work on the park, is we can make a sidewalk for now, just to get that sharper edge. And let's come along here as well, and let's just establish a boundary. And this can come all the way over here to this roadway and down like this. And we can even bring it down like so, and we'll straighten all this out in a minute, but this is all temporary anyhow, so it doesn't need to be perfect. But this gives us a better idea of kind of the space we are working with. Sorry, I have the hiccups. I just had my lunch. Okay. And I'm just going to paint all of this in until we put it in proper buildings. So now we know, we'll have a T intersection here for this roadway going back, and we'll probably wrap all the way around the outside of the entire park, and we'll use that to establish our perimeter, and then that will also allow us to have that access roadway within the park. And we may even, I don't know if I want to, but we could even do a access gateway here and do something that literally does wrap around the whole park and connects to the parking lot at two sides. But I really don't think that is 100% necessary, since this is not really public infrastructure. Anyhow, we're just going to keep adding this in. And my kind of goal with this, of course, the things that are going to take up the most space is going to be warehouse buildings, and maintenance shops, and we may not even have enough space to kind of do all of that. but we can experiment and see, because I'd love to fit as much behind the scenes buildings in this area as I can, just because it is now a large designated area for that. But we'll just kind of see how it goes. But yeah, because warehouses take up lots of space, I think I definitely want to start with that. So let's dive right into it. So when I build warehouses, and I may even just do a time lapse here in a moment, we'll see. But I always go for the colored walls. You see me use those a lot. I mean, this is kind of the best wall for, just a simple wall. It's a flat color, but it has some texture. And for warehouses, I usually go for this tan color. But as you may remember from the Germanator Studios series we did, you may also find that I believe this color up and to the right of the tan works well as like a go away green kind of color. I'm thinking about what I want to do, because we have this garden here. And of course we have this flower bed along here, but I want to think about how this looks, because this is going to be directly adjacent to it. So I think what I want to do is expand this flower bed a little bit, and I'm just going to use some dirt to do that. And then we can put a tree line along here to mask that edge of the building. And then we'll make this the outer edge. And I do want to have an edge of walkable space on the outside of the entire, one tile basically around this whole area. So all of our buildings are going to be inset by one. And then because this is sort of a hard edge to the back of house area, I'm just going to use a pine wood fence as opposed to a chain link fence, just so that way people who are outside of the park can't really see the goings on behind the scenes. Like so. And let's see here. We could even continue a flower bed down this way. So I'm going to inset this by one on the front side as well. Just so that way we can make this entire parking lot look decent. Although, see, I try to think about things in terms, and you guys know this by now, I try to think about things not only in terms of realism and how it looks, but also like what is realistic. In the real world, is this going to be consistent? And I think we have a choice here where maybe this is that back edge of the parking lot, and maybe let's maximize this space, and the flower beds are going to start in front of the gardens themselves. And I think I changed my mind on the fly, and you guys know I do that sometimes. But yeah, I think we'll try this. And we'll put one more here, and we'll go out like this. And then maybe we can do another like flower bed or tree line along here. And then I am going to use the chain link fence right in here, because this would be, a gate that can swing open and shut. So I'll have it there. Okay, now we can actually get started on a warehouse. And I want to think about how I approach this. Okay, let's just start by kind of using the walls to map it out. And, like I said, this is going to be a pretty big space. So typically amusement parks, it varies depending on the park, but there's going to be warehouse space for merchandise, as well as food and beverage and things of that nature. And all warehouses in general are kind of the same on the outside, at least from what I've been able to tell. But you want to think about, like, we're going to have multiple warehouses, and they're going to serve different purposes. And one thing I want to do is place these walls on the outside edge here, so I can do an inset garage door. And I'm going to make a double wide garage door. I'm going to do 2 of those side by side. And then we'll make it nice and symmetrical. And then we're going to bring this back. And this will kind of establish the thing, the boundary or the border. of our warehouse. Okay. And now that we have that, I always build every warehouse at least 2 blocks tall, or 3 really is a good height to account for the garage doors. And I'll show you how to do that in a moment, even though if you've been following, I don't think I've done it yet in this series. No, I have not, but in other videos and series you can see how I do garage doors to look more realistic. But let's just build this up first. And if you are a novice Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 player, you may not know this, but what I'm doing right now just to speed things up is holding the control button. It may be command on Windows computers, but I use a Mac. But if you hold your cursor over a block that is at your desired height, or a wall I should say, and hit control, then the wall will snap to that height. And that just makes it a little easier to come through here and place things a little quicker. That way you don't have to press shift every single time. You do have to keep control held down though. Alright, and that's going to do it for the warehouse space. And I've kind of mentioned this before, so those of you who remember Germanator Gardens, I'm sorry, Germanator Studios, you know, I put a lot of time into doing like detail to a level of high realism, even inside buildings, at least, you know, to what I thought was a feasible amount. But that resulted in losing the park altogether. The park file became too big, so I'm not really going to do anything inside here, I don't think. At least I don't think so. We might do like some shelving in here, just that you can see through the garage door, but I don't want to do anything too highly detailed. Just because this is back of house, it's not entirely necessary. But I'm going to do a full height wall here, and I'm going to paint it gray. And as you can see, now we have a garage door. And if you look closely, it is inset. You have the wall on the outside and the garage door on the inside. And the next thing I'm going to do is get a 1/3 height wall and just place that along here. So you can see that there are 2 garage doors, but this one is open. And what I'm going to do really quickly, actually for both of these, is I'm going to get rid of this top wall here. And the reason why is because I want to make a recessed area in the ground, like a ramp where a truck could back up and then supplies could be loaded off of that ramp into the, sorry, I'm just trying to think of how to word it. Hopefully you understand what I mean. It's like kind of a standard thing with most shipping warehouse situations. But I'm going to come along here. And then what I'm going to do, let's build this concrete out one more, is we want to make sure that these edges of the terrain look decent. So I'm going to come back to our colored walls, unless it's collared walls, and let's get some gray 1/3 height block walls, and I'm going to put them on the inside edge, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. Okay, so now we have a drop off here, and so what I want to do to kind of mitigate that being a hazard is just put a yellow line into the ground with a slate wall all around the edges here. Just so that way people who are walking along or maybe driving a vehicle like a forklift or something don't run into any hazards. And then that's kind of the bare minimum that we need to do. But I think what I want to do is do one more garage door on this side, And that will require us to redo this entire side wall and put that on the outside. And this will just be a smaller garage door. So we're going to come through here and get rid of this. And another way you can build walls quickly is just holding shift and doing them one side at a time. That's probably a little quicker than the way I did it before. And I'll close this off, and I'm going to get a 2/3 height wall just to account for taller vehicles like forklifts or things that might be coming through. I guess forklifts aren't super tall, but taller than normal vehicles. This isn't your standard home garage door. Okay. And we'll just come through here like so. Now my kind of rule of thumb with buildings like this and just buildings in general in this game is, first of all, make sure things are the right color. And I like to go usually with gray for the doors and the door frames. So near every garage door, I like to have a normal walking door that you would walk in and out of. We'll put one here and then one over here on this end. We want plenty of access and egress inside of the warehouse space. Okay, but now that that's done, we will build this back up. So there are a lot of things that can go in warehouses. I mean, if it's a food and beverage warehouse, you could put like coolers in here. I did one behind the restaurant over here, which now that we have more space to work with, we might even be able to redo that. I don't know, worth thinking about. But anyway, you can put coolers in there or shelves, and I'm going to do some shelving so you can kind of see, since we can see into here through this doorway. And I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. Or you could even put like office space in here. It's pretty common. And I might do like an office space off to the side. I will think about that. Anyhow, okay, so let's do some shelving first. So I'm going to grab some scaffolding, and I think I'm just going to paint it gray. And how do we want to do this? We would have a scaffold on the back wall, or I mean a shelf. So we'll come along here like so, but I want this to be inset one more. So there's plenty of room for unloading, for things like forklifts. Not that you're unloading forklifts, that the forklifts would be doing the unloading. So let's come along here like this. And we're going to build these up too high, and they can run the full length, I believe. Well, let's go too wide for each of these shelves. We'll have a corridor down the middle. Alright, and then let's come down here to our office walls. So there are kind of two things we could use. We could use the office roof for the actual shelf, or what I think I want to try, I think might look good. Let's try it. Let's try both and see what we think. It's always a good way of doing it. But the flat roof and the western scenery set, and we can recolor this as well to look more wooden. So there's that option. I don't think that looks bad, although I don't know if we necessarily want it to look wooden, because it could be metal as well. I guess it's more or less a matter of preference, which I think this looks a little better. And then let's try our office roof. And I feel like this one would look better with a brown color. Oops. Because it kind of looks almost like it could be made out of like a particle board. Although I don't know if those kind of shelves, I think they would be plywood, not particle board. And honestly, I do think this looks better. If you're gonna use the color brown, I think this looks better. But I think I want to go for the flat roofs here. I think those just overall look a little bit better. And I think this looks pretty good. And now when you're looking in here, you can see the shelves. I think this looks good. I'm not gonna say like much better or anything, but it's kind of a nice little Easter egg for peeking in here. And if I assume when this park is done, I will put it up for download, so that way you guys can explore it too. Now we can even think about what is visible through here, which honestly I don't think we need to worry about that at all. What do we want to do next? So we still have all this space to work with. I think I want to use this space to do a smaller warehouse that can maybe be like our merchandising warehouse, and I think I'll do roofing all together. Oops, let's make sure it's the right color as well. And I want to leave a 2 wide gap because we have a garage door on this side. And we can even do multiple garage doors. So let's bring this wall on the outside edge. And I think I'm going to do a few garage doors, at least 2. We have room for 3 though, so I think that'll work. And another thing about snapping to a height is it always saves the last height you snap to. So if I hit control and I'm just pointed at the ground, it'll go right up to this height. Okay, and now that that's done, we'll do some doorways. I think I want to do one here. We'll do one on this end. No. Wait, oh yeah, no, that'll work fine. I was just thinking about how I wanted to do shelving in here, because I think I am going to do it in here as well. And then we'll just put doors on each corner, but I don't want, because this is a road that comes right along this edge of this building, I want to do the doors where there's a little more space, just so people aren't stepping right out into traffic or anything if they need to use those doors. Let's go ahead and paint the foundation really quick. And that'll do. Okay. So let me think here. Let's come over here to our custom structures tab, and let's just go ahead and save one of these shelves. We'll save it as warehouse shelf. And I already realized it's going to be too tall for this other building. So we'll just place them where we want them and then do a little bit of deleting. And we'll just place them, I don't want to put them right in the way here, but along here, every other thing. And then let's just get rid of the top shelving on here, just so it's not right up against the ceiling. We don't want to violate any fire codes. Okay, but that will do. Now let's come along to our office walls here. And yes, come along the top. Like so. Okay, and then one thing I want to change really quick that I just thought about is I'm going to add guardrails on the outside edges over here. I think that would be a little more realistic as opposed to just having lines painted. So let's come along. Let's go to our fence set, and I'm just going to use the scaffolding fence. And I'm just going to make these tan colored as if they would be made out of wood. I think that will do just fine. Alright, it's back of house, so it doesn't have to look super pretty. Now what do we want to do? So the other things we want to think about are maintenance facilities. We may have to find somewhere else in the park to do those. And you'd be surprised how many maintenance facilities a park generally has. I do have a pre-made structure over here that I moved around another park. This is kind of inspired by the Cedar Point wardrobe building, and it's a small facility, or a small little building here, so it could fit right in here. I want to make sure I don't get it too close to this ride though. We could even probably fit it like in here. I just want to get a better idea of how it looks. And I want to save a little space around here. Like if it's going to jut out into the path here, I just want to make sure there's room for vehicles to get around. Maybe we can try it out in a couple of spots. It could work right in here. Oh wait, no, it would be blocking that other pathway. Okay. And I don't even know if like I would want, not that there would be high foot traffic in this area, but you want to account for, you don't want a lot of associates or like employees walking around where trucks would be moving and things of that nature going on. But we could put it right here. I don't necessarily like buildings that are touching the supports on one edge or whatever, but that's not the end of the world. I think I like this spot better than over here. So we'll try that for now. And that doesn't even have to be, like the building is inspired by the wardrobe building, but this could even be like someone's office or something behind the scenes. So it just is accounting for something. We want to make sure we have an appropriate number of buildings. So next I want to think about maintenance facilities. This would be a large garage kind of building. And I want to think about how, think about it in the context of this park. So like Cedar Point has, a lot of various maintenance facilities for different purposes. You obviously, the obvious one is a rides maintenance facility. But they have other things like infrastructure maintenance, like plumbing and electrical stuff, vehicle maintenance. But Cedar Point also has probably hundreds of company vehicles. I don't know the number. I'm only a seasonal employee there. But, how many vehicles would our park have? Probably not enough to justify like a whole garage for working on them. Maybe a small garage or something. But these are all just things to consider. So I think I'm going to go about it like this. Let's map it out here. So I think I do want to have like just one singular garage that could be used for vehicular maintenance. Now it's going to be along this side, so that way we can have a garage door on either side of it. And that can be a single wide garage door. We'll come along here like so. And again, I want to leave enough space for this roadway here. And give enough space to work on vehicles. Okay, so that accounts for that space. Let's start from this end and do sort of a rides maintenance type facility. And I want to set this back one because they're probably going to be bringing components in on trailers, and we want enough space for trailers to be able to move around. Well, I'm thinking 2 wide. This would be the equivalent of a 2-lane road. That could be enough, but I don't know what the largest trailer they'd be using is. But they'd also probably use this space to unload stuff and could haul it in with cranes. So I think I don't have to worry about that too much. So we'll come along here though, and we'll give them a nice large garage door. And then we'll come along like this. And they can have another smaller garage door in the back as well. Maybe. Yeah. Alrighty. And it's coming along. And I think this vehicle garage is going to be too tall. That's TWO, not TOO. It will be an appropriate height. And now I'm almost thinking, do I want the garage door on this side? Yeah, because I want it on both sides. I'm just thinking. Yeah, this will work. But I think I want to actually bring it out one more, and I think I'll show you why in a second. Partly because we have the space for it. Okay, and we'll just fill in this wall while I'm thinking about it. Up top. We'll come along this edge, so everything is flush on the inside. Maybe. Yeah. Okay. So, thinking. Let's get our garage doors in while it's on my mind. Starting here. Oh wait, that's going to be full height. Okay. Like this. Let's get our full height wall over here. Oh, we didn't even finish the walls on this building, or on this side, so we'll do that real quick. Alrighty. And of course, our western walls for the garage doors. I just realized those are colored white. I want those gray. There we go. Okay, so I want to make sure these are the consistent color now. Yeah, okay, I got that right. So the reason I made this a little longer, I'm just going to paint the ground. Is basically the length of cars in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 is, or their dimensions are 1x2. And so I figured I could give myself enough space for 2 cars to be worked on in here. So it's 6 long. So let's just put a couple cars in. So we could put like one here. I want to make them white because usually company vehicles are white in color. There. Dark windows though. Let's bring it back one. Like so. Okay. But let's actually lift the one in front up so I can kind of give you a better idea of my idea. So you would have, this will be yellow colored, you know, like your lifting jacks, or what, I think that's what they're called. Something like this. The idea now being that I could put a girder piece along here. I don't think that's the piece you'd want though. But I think you get the idea. So we can build up little jack sections for the vehicles. I think I want to use the scaffolding piece though. That might look a little better. All right. And I think I actually want to do these maybe closer to the garage door. I don't know. I'm kind of going by the seat of my pants here. Maybe I'll try this. We'll use porch pillars. And these will not place on the inside edge, unfortunately. Oh wait, not right there. But we can do them along here. Okay. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to bring them down 1 or down 2. That way there's a little room for clearance where the ceiling is. And now, yeah. Maybe we'll just have the 1. Or I'm thinking. Always thinking. Yeah. And then what I want to do is have cross beams along the top here. And like this. Or really, yeah, not these ones. To be completely honest, I haven't seen or looked at a jack like this up close, so I don't know exactly how they would look. And of course, we're just kind of trying to make it look good for in-game. So I think this will do. Yeah. And maybe this can be just a staging area for another vehicle. So we won't have the jack there. But we can come up like this. Well, let's just put cross bracing there. Okay. No, we can put some down here too, I suppose. So let's get another vehicle real quick. And we'll do another van, because vans are more common for company type vehicles. Alright. Let's just paint the ground real quick around here. And we'll give them some space to work with. Alright. And let's establish a perimeter really quick that we can use for our little technique. Okay. Like so. I think that should do. And here's kind of a refinement of my technique now. I did it back on the access path over here as well, but just moving these tiles down a little bit. Now you don't need as many of those terrain tiles. I don't really know how they factor into the scenery count, but less is usually better, as we have come to learn. And now I only have to place these along the border here. And I can even bring this corner one back up. There we go. And then let's just come along here with a chain link fence to protect our ride's low zone. I'm going to move this doorway or delete it altogether. I'll move it over to here. And this can remain as like a concrete walkway. We can even kind of put that in there. And we'll just put this like so. Okay. And then this can all be at some point turned into that same technique. Okay. And when we adjust that, we'll work on that with the fencing. But let's do our roofs real quick. And we're running, I assume I've put some of this stuff into time-lapse format. And I am on limited time. If you see this episode on Monday the 28th, that means I was recording it yesterday on Sunday. And I'm on kind of limited time to do recording and stuff now that I'm starting work again. And all of that good stuff. So this might be it. If you're hearing me, well, we'll see. I'm going to finish out this roof, but if there weren't a bunch of time lapses, I'm going to kind of see how that factors in to the total length of the video. So if there were no time lapses, congratulations, you've made it to the end of the video. And if there were some time lapses, I might do another section kind of starting this area, but we'll see. It depends on what I'm feeling up to. But I'd say this is pretty good. Now we have a back of house area. Let's real quick actually put in a tree line along here. And we'll just do small sugar pines maybe? No, we'll do medium. We'll do medium. Medium sugar pine. I'm going to set this back one and then extend the little flower bed. Oops. Cool. And where's the large flower bed? Right here. Sweet. That looks pretty good. And now this area is kind of bordered by that. And what we can even do, as I kind of mentioned earlier, is come through here, if we can find the right color, and make those wall our favorite. I used to say that in the last RCT series as well. Our favorite color, go away green. And that just helps it blend in here a little more. I'm thinking maybe we do just all of, I don't know if I want to do all the walls that color, but especially this one because it's right behind the trees. And we have the fences here to help things blend in as well. And we'll get this top edge as well. And maybe we can even do, just to help the building blend in even more, let's come along here and do this. There. Okay. I'm just going to fix that little edge there. And I think that ought to do it. I'm going to put one more doorway in here, actually. There we are. Just to even things out. And I am liking the way this is looking. So we have two warehouses now. In addition, we have some maintenance facilities. And and we got to put a wall in here. But I think I'm just in my head canon for the park. This will just be an office building and not like something for associates per se. Maybe that can be another project. But I am liking the way this is looking. Okay, but there's more that we can do. I think at this point I'm just trying to fill out some space so I don't have to do an extra clip or something later on. But I'm just filling out this space under the coaster kind of with some overgrowth here to kind of justify, like, there wouldn't necessarily be landscaping going on in those spots. So we'll put some more like flowers and stuff. And let's see what we have in the way of bushes. Let's use some like small green bushes in here. Or we could even do, I have an idea. Let's get some large sugar pines. Well, not that it makes a huge difference, but just to kind of mask this behind the scenes area from the ride. But I don't know if that's going to do much good. So I think I'm just going to use large bushes. Oh, we could even, let's do this. We have room for that. Let's do a large hazel. If we just set this down a little bit, 1, 2. That is like a large overgrowth. Let's go 3 down though. 1, 2, 3. Oh, too low. All right. I want to make sure it's not clipping into the building if we can avoid it though. Yeah, that'll do. And let's get some large green bushes in here as well. Small green bushes, I mean. They just happen to be large for their size, their reported size. Okay. Look at that. And we have space. No, we don't. There. 3 more. 1, 2, 3. Look at that. Very nice. Okay. So this, I guess if I'm just filling up time now, we can do this as well. Let's make it all look overgrown. Okay. Do that. Oops. And we'll get our tiles. Where are you, tiles? And I guess if we're going to get rid of this as a walkway, we can even put in some buildings along here, some more office or storage space. And heck, maybe we'll just do that here in a minute. I don't know. I'm just kind of going by the seat of my pants here, just for the fun of it. That's what this series is mostly all about. Alright, I want to get rid of these now. I want to use another hazel tree in this spot. Where are you? Large hazel. 1, 2. There we go. Nice big overgrowth. And that really makes it look kind of unkempt. I like what it adds to the area. Would it actually be like that in real life? Maybe, maybe not. This area would still need to be accessible at times. I'm just going to build this up a little bit, and we'll come down just like there for now. So this path at this point, going along back here, I suppose my western area is going to come right up to the edge of this, and the back of house, parts of restaurants or gift shops or whatever, it's going to come right out to the edge of this pathway. But I think that will be the next episode. In the meantime, let's just go really quick along here. And I realize getting rid of this edge means I'm going to have to use my technique. But that's okay. because we're patient around here. So maybe you are going to see some time lapses, but now that I'm just going and going and going, maybe I lied earlier. We'll see about time lapse equaling longer episode. More footage. I mean, you still are getting more footage, so it's all good. And one thing I think I want to do real quick is just save, because I haven't saved in 50 minutes. Normally I save between clips, and normally I do shorter clips, or try to do shorter clips, you know, so that way I can save frequently, and I don't lose progress if I lose a clip or something, and I can just fill you in later. But at this point, yeah, this is kind of one of the more... I don't think it's boring to make back of house infrastructure, but that was a close one. It can, I don't even know if you saw that. My screen went dark because my cursor went into the hot corner. I was like, that was going to be really ironic if while I was talking the game crashed or something. But anyway, if you're seeing this, it means my game didn't crash. Anyway, I don't think back of house infrastructure is boring to make, but I understand it's less interesting than watching me make roller coasters and midways and rides and stuff. So I try not to, do too much of this stuff. And when I do, I try to just get it out of the way in one big bite, so to speak. But yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else we can do. I guess this is an access, a back of house access way. So we could put in like a guard shack here. Or maybe like a check-in spot for people. I don't know. So we can do this. And let's put in some windows. I want to make the windows black though, so they're a little more bold or a little darker. And then that's all we really need there. And one thing I forgot to do around the place is put air conditioning units everywhere. So we can do that really quick as well. Oh yeah, but what I was going to say earlier, and maybe this is what you guys would want, maybe not. So I apologize if you're not getting it. But that was if the game were to crash and I lost all of this, hey, I wouldn't leave you guys without an episode. So you would get me saying, hey, so blah, 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 here's an update, and I'm going to build something fun. But yeah, for your sake, I don't want to say hopefully that happens, because I don't want to have to deal with that. But, I understand. Okay. Let's do this. 1, 2, 3. I don't even know if these buildings would really need air conditioners in real life, but we'll put them on anyway. Like that. Did I put the wall in there? Yes, I did. And I just want to paint down here really quick. Like so. Alrighty. Well, I think that'll do it. But I also want to think of other stuff we can do just to get stuff out of the way. Here's an idea. So this is a building that exists where I work. It's not going to look exactly the same, but basically I want to do like a boiler room. I don't actually know what it's for. I just know that it does exist at Cedar Point. They have like a building full of boilers, and I assume it's hot water. I would assume it's hot water for the whole park. I think it's really just for the maintenance facilities and probably the laundry facilities because they have a hotel there. I really honestly don't know for sure, but nevertheless, let's do this wall on the outside actually because we'll do a garage door. And then a 2 height wall all along the top. All right. And let's change it up a little bit. Let's get a slate roof. And let's do a pitched roof for this. The only thing I don't like is that lip sticking out. There we go. And that will do for that. But we'll just paint the ground in there a little bit. I think that's enough back of house stuff for one episode, though. Except for the one thing I just remembered. I still want to do. Okay, this will be the last of it. I think this will be a good spot for this. I want to do a water tower, and I already know how I want to do it. This is a really quick build you can do as well. First thing I'm going to do is just add our chain link fence here. Okay, we're going to do girder pieces, not scaffolding, girders. And we'll just make these black, and we will stack them as high as we want our tower to be. I want it to be nice and tall. I think it would be kind of cool if it was like visible from around the park, but not the main site, not the main sight line, even though it'll be at the end of this midway kind of, but anyway. 8 should do. And you know, the primary thing with a water tower is just making sure it's the most elevated thing in the park. Every water source needs to be below the height of the tank. But we're going to bring this up to height. And I just want to look along here. Yeah, that should be taller than everything else. And then we will find our curved slate wall corner. And let's make this light blue because that's kind of our park's colors. And I believe we have a curved wall. But let's just get the bottom of this tank first. Okay. Here it is. Let's go. Let's look and see how it looks. I think 2 tall should do. And then we'll top it off with a roof. Okay, and then we're going to add the magic touch. And that will be, let's see here. We'll come down to our office walls. And we will find the office roof corner number 2, which is curved. Let's make the edge of it white, because blue and white are the Germanator Gardens colors. And let's go like this, and then like that. So we'll kind of simulate like the, I don't really know what you would call these, but these basically support the water pressure on a water tower. And they're just rings that would go around the outside. But they would be more concentrated toward the bottom, where the pressure of the water is greater. And I did that the wrong way. There we are. And I think that looks nice. I kind of want to go into free look mode real quick and just see how it looks. I just noticed the girders do not render in from super far away. I I think that's okay. What matters is that they are there. Oh yeah. It's I guess a little bit intrusive, but hey, you know, every theme park needs a water tower somewhere. I guess more regional parks might have them. They might just draw from the main water grid. I know parks like Cedar Point are kind of isolated, so they kind of need it on property. But hey, you know where I work, I also work at the Columbus Zoo, and they have their own water tower, so it's a matter of preference. But look at this. Now this looks like a back of house area, and we're at about an hour now for our episode. So I think without cuts, that makes this a good stopping point. I'm just trying to think if there are any wall sets that have like a full height piece that just sits in the corner that I could run up and down to be like piping. But, or scenery. I don't know. Oh, I have an idea. How many times have I been about to end the episode and said, I have an idea? I don't think this is going to work the way I want it to work. Let's see. Roman column. Oh, that actually doesn't look too bad. And that's like the perfect height too. What if we supported our water tower on the Roman columns? That would be funny. You know what, I'm just gonna leave this. This will be like a small little Easter egg. So this will be like the piping that runs up and into the tower. I think that's kind of funny. And those render in from further away too, so this still is grounded at a distance. Alright. I think that for sure is going to do it. Okay, that is going to do it. So, here's everything we've done. And I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.